There we go, my phone case there, the little cover, is about the height of the water in the IBC. Now what I'm doing at the moment is siphoning water in the IBCs. Now this is a brilliant option. I've got my little machine there, little generator, and I've only run that for about 10 seconds with the water pump hooked to it, the submersible water pump, and then turned it off. And look, it's gone over my phone case already. Now you may think, well, how does that work? What is going on? Well, it's called siphoning, and it is a brilliant way to save quite a lot of fuel, generator fuel, if you use a generator to pump water, or even if you use a gasoline water pump. And all I basically do is get the water pump going for 10-15 seconds, basically till it's flowing well and all the air's out of the line, and then I turn it off. And it just sits there ticking away, slowly but surely, rising, rising, rising. And the reason it's doing that is because the main tank I've got is higher than the IBC, and all it needs is the flow to start and it will continue to suck through. And you're going, but that's crazy, I've never seen anything like that. Well, welcome to an old hillbilly trick, a trick that's been used in World War II by the Germans for transferring fuel between vehicles when they were short on fuel, a trick that's been used by farmers around here when they've been very hard up for diesel, you know, and I use it to move water, to save generator fuel. And there's more than one way of doing it. You can buy these little things, and I've got one lying around somewhere, and it's basically like a half-inch hose, and you've got this little piece that's about that big, and it's got a marble in the end, and you shake it, and that shaking jiggles the water up and down and starts to siphon. That's the theory. The reality is they're pretty bloody useless, because you shake that hard, it's easier just to suck it with your mouth, which is what some farmers have done with diesel around here. No good. But quite simply, when you're doing it with water, it isn't that bad, because all you do is suck the water through the hose and keep it down, and then off it goes. Just siphons out for you. And there's another stunt one of my old bosses used to do, and that was he gets the whole hose and dunks it in water. Then he puts his thumb over one end, and that end that he's got his thumb over, he lifts it out of the water and puts it into the other container, and then takes his thumb off. And you know, the other container will be lower, and then bang, off it goes. You know, but you may say, oh well, that's just sort of like having a tap in the bottom of a tank and then just pour it into a lower tank. Well, not really. Have a look at this. That's up high. There's my tank slightly higher, the water cartridge tank that I got hooked in my car. This is on the ground. So it goes down to ground level and then re-raises up again. Yeah, that's siphon. Now when you do this, you don't want any joins in your hose. It does work with joins in your hose, but I've noticed with some of the clear hoses that they tend to build up a few air bubbles around where the connection is, and it tends to be a bit of a constriction, and it slows it up. And if you don't have those connections very well done and they've got a leak, it'll just start sucking air in, and then it'll just stop. So you're best with a full hose. You can have connections, but they've got to be flaming watertight. And then also, because of the connectors there, it's sort of a constriction and it slows it down and won't flow as quick. But here we are. You know, we're almost up to the next rung. I mean, you know, and I'll sit for a bit longer and that'll do its thing. And I'm liable to give a few more actual real siphoning demos, but I just thought I'd show it because it's something that if you've never had to siphon, you'll probably never know about it. You know, and here I am now, having saved 15 minutes worth of blooming generator fuel already, which, you know, in a grid down situation, when you're only running on stockpiles that you've stored, you know, if you're a prepper, by hell, you want to make sure you use your fuel very conservatively, you know, if you don't know when the fuel lines are going to sort of start flowing again, especially like, you know, when we experienced a diesel shortage here. You know, a week and a half people were sweating because they couldn't get diesel. And, you know, in times like that, or times where there's a real bad grid down scenario, and, you know, you've only got a set amount of fuel stored back, you want to save it, and this is one way of saving it. It's also one way of saving a couple of dollars.